Sports, where we review all the best sports clips from around the world. If this is your first time checking out a video, please do consider subscribing. We are building an amazing community here, and I would absolutely love to see you part of it. Without further ado, let's get to it. Right now, we are unpacking the whole situation with Kevin Durant, where he confronted a Mavs fan who called him the B word. I don't really know. I try not to curse on here. I know you're allowed to curse on YouTube. This is a word that I say all the time, actually, but just for the sake of the video and the sake of trying to be consistent with the level of cursing and stuff on this video, I'm just going to say the B word, just a heads up, or just say B. I don't really know. I haven't thought about it too much, quite honestly. But apparently, fans, as he was running out, called him the B word, and this was, turned into a kind of an ordeal. So, and then Durant replied back. He gave like an interview post game or whatever that I read. And that's actually what I took issue with more than anything is what Kevin Durant said. And full disclosure, I'm a huge Kevin Durant fan. I love him. I love everything he represents. I love that he's sensitive. He's a real, person. I really appreciate that about him. But I think what he's saying is just dead wrong. So let's take a look at this clip, and then we'll read what he had to say, and then we can just break it down from there.
Of course, the fans had to switch up.
So, and that was it. I don't know that other guy. Now I was just talking. So, right, he said, called him a B. He was like, B, as he was running out, and this got upset, with KD. And then, I'm not sure when this was. It was either later that night, post game, or maybe the next morning. I'm not really sure. But it says, it's like they don't look at us as humans sometimes. So when you get a chance to let a person know how you feel real quick, then they'll backtrack. You get a chance to let a person know how you feel real quick, then they'll backtrack. So we're animals. We're circus acts. We're entertainers to them instead of real people. Durant said the female fan did indeed backtrack and try to play it cool. Durant said her friend explained that she was going through a lot. Durant believed the fan thought he'd keep running onto the court. I get it, Durant said. I know that people want to pet the animals in the zoo, get close to the animals in the zoo, but once they get close, they realize you're real human beings too. So you should treat us like that. I could have had them kicked out. Nah, don't put that on me. They just called me a B. It kind of sounds like a rhyme now. They didn't harm me. They didn't try to harm me physically. Let them stay and give them something to think about going forward. So, and okay. I take actually big issue with what KD is going to say. And again, let me just preface this again. I'm a huge Kevin Durant fan, and I'm all about respect, truly. Okay? And I want all of these players to be treated with respect and safety, love and admiration. Like, I'm not even like a big person to like boo, honestly. Like, I'm more all about like cheering. And anytime I ever had any of my daydreams about if I was ever as big as like a Kevin Durant in terms of popularity, of like a KD or a LeBron or Steph, and they're booing other people, like I would be saying, hey guys, at our arena we don't boo, we just cheer, or something real cheesy like that, because the older I get, the more cheesy I get, quite honestly. And we actually saw this with the Phillies fans, with a big player who was struggling in a slump, and so people were booing him, and then a DJ, like a radio guy, was like, hey, you know what, next time he's up at bat, we should give him a big standing ovation and support him. And they did that. He got a standing ovation, and he hit a home run, and it was a big moment, and he turned his season completely around. So like, I'm a sucker for those types of things. I'm not into boo, you suck, you this, that. That's not me. I'm very appreciative of what these players do. And, again, a lot of people, for instance, a lot of Eagles fans like booed Nelson Aguilar and other football players, and I'm like, dude, like they helped us, or like they were booing Carson Wentz near the end when he left, and I'm like, Carson Wentz is a huge reason why the Eagles won a Super Bowl. Like, I'm not going to boo this person or feel any ill will. Like, just because he's not playing how you want him to play right now, I understand that, but like that's just the way it is. So I just want to like get that out there. With all that said, though, I think what Kevin Durant is saying is 100% wrong. Okay, and let's break it down why. He says, in essence, that they're being treated as animals, the players. And, you know, and they're just circus acts and entertainers and this and that. And they're not real people. Okay. Well, one, you're not real people. Okay. You are literal freaks of natures. Okay. Go down the street. You don't see anyone looking like Kevin Durant and LeBron James. All right. Go to the mall. Go to the city. Go anywhere. You don't see anyone that looks like that they're in the NFL or in the NBA. They just don't exist. Okay. It's just like, it's so rare. So therefore, you already are a freak of nature. So that's number one. Okay. Number two, you also are not real people because you live insane lives. Insane lives. You get paid hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars to just run up and down a court and play basketball. Okay. And you get private jets and caviar and lobster and prime rib, and you get to fly to Paris for just an hour and then fly to Jamaica and Puerto Rico, or wherever the heck you want to go. You get to literally do anything you want in this life. No matter what. You have enough money to go to outer space. Like literally. You literally have enough money to take a trip to the moon if you wanted to. Okay? That's how much money and power and fame that you have. So you're right. You are not real people. You are not real people. And you are also not the victim. Okay? The fans are the circus animals more than anything. They're the ones that don't get to live the life that you get to live. Take one look at those people there, okay? You can see that they live a hard life. And I don't mean to judge people based on their physical, on their physical appearance. Let me see if I can bring this back up. Where are you? Kevin Durant confronts there. Like, you can see that these are hard-looking people, okay? In Dallas. Like, I mean, come on here. And I know that, I don't know if that's really where their seats, and maybe they're like super wealthy, or maybe they're just down there, I don't know. But regardless, they're not living that Kevin Durant lifestyle, okay? They're just not. They're also drunk. And as the one guy said, she's going through a tough time. Who knows what it is? So this idea that, you know, we should be feeling bad for these players, I just don't buy it. I really, really don't. Physical altercations, absolutely. Racial slurs, absolutely, right? Like those types of things, I totally do get. I really, really do. But I just, for them to keep trying to get sympathy, like that's part of the sport, is to yell. And you could tell that she was saying it not so negatively, because she had a big smile on her face. She was like, "B," like she was just saying it, right? And this is what I also want to lead into. That word. This is such a fascinating word to me, because this all got unraveled, to me at least, when Draymond Green most famously said that to Kevin Durant, right? He called him a B word. And apparently that was such an insult. And I was confused from the jump, because I was like, I grew up saying that word all the time. Whether it was on the court, on the field, with friends, with my parents, I mean, just all the time. I said it all the time, all the time, all the time. It was like, it was one of those words that you said, you know, almost kind of like the N-word, and to some way, obviously nowhere near as intense. I'm not saying it is, but I'm just saying where it could be used both endearingly and then also negatively. It could be jokingly, or it could be like, you know, F you. But the word itself was never like, oh, even like when you are saying F you, it was not like I can't believe you just said that. Like, you just crossed a line, right? Where it's not like we're now like a white person saying the N-word to a black person, where it's just like, whoa, we were fighting and we were mad at each other, but you just crossed a line. And that's what they start treating it as now. And I can't make sense of it, because I can't tell you growing up, playing ball and doing everything, how often you would say that. How often you'd be like, man, stop being a B. Or, you know, like, especially if like you're talking to the refs, or if, let's say, we're playing pickup and someone keeps complaining about, you know, foul, and they're saying, oh my God, you keep fouling me. And it's like, stop being a B, man, get over it. That's not fighting words. That's not fighting words. That's like, like if anything, someone would dart back with you and say, man, F you, stop fouling me then. Stop fouling me. And it's like, well, stop being about it. Stop being about it. This is weird to like not be able to say the word, but hopefully you guys can follow what I'm trying to say. So I don't really get it. And then I realized like, well, is this definitely then like a different thing based on where you live? Because also in Philly, to kind of bring it back to the N-word, which I know you're probably like, where are we talking about the N-word? In Philly, and it also depends on what neighborhood you're from, where you're from, and just like what your overall attitude is. You don't have to be black to necessarily say the N-word. Again, this all depends on the neighborhood. This all depends on where you're from, and it all depends on who you're hanging out with, okay? You can be white or Asian, more Asian or just more not white, and you can still say it. You can say it around black people, you can say whoever, and it's like more acceptable, right? If you're now in the suburbs and you're hanging out and you're just saying it, no, that's not what I'm saying. But it definitely has become more of like an urban, more of like a socioeconomic status type, frame of reference of where you're at. And again, it's not something that I personally partake in, because no matter what, even if I was like technically allowed to say it in certain contexts, it just wasn't my thing. But I've observed it too many times to count, right? Over years and years and years of my life. So again, it's just one of those things. And I'm sure where if you're in that neighborhood and you're saying it, and now you go take a trip maybe to Jersey or to LA or something, and you just casually throw that word out, people are going to be like, what the heck did you just say? And then you're like, no. In my neighborhood, I'm allowed to say it, right? And it's like, well, that's, now you're getting tricky here. So I just don't know if different areas of the country, that word is like fighting words. Where I was born and raised, it absolutely was not. Like I said, you said it endearingly. You said it to be funny. You said it to be mean, but not in a way where you are crossing an epic line where you're just like, I can't believe you just dropped that word. Like you just took it to, a next level. It was just a word that you use in so many different contexts. And so these people kind of sound like, to me, it sounded like they were like, you suck, like they were just booing him to have fun, right? To be like, boo, Kevin Durant, Phoenix Suns, boo, we're Dallas fans. That's how I interpreted it. So to like have this build up to this thing, like he did call them the N-word, or he did say something just so egregious, it just, I don't think that's fair. And again, maybe not these exact people, because maybe these people are secretly super wealthy and that's why they have those seats. Although you'd be surprised, sometimes you can get those seats for not crazy amounts of money, relatively speaking. I've sat in seats that low before, and I always thought that those things cost like thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars, and not always the case. Anyway, but my point is that you just take one look at those people and you can see that Kevin Durant lives a significantly better life than them. And he's more mature than them even. And those people are super inebriated. So I guess like my whole thing is to just kind of give them the benefit of the doubt in a weird way. And it doesn't mean that you take abuse, but at the same time, you are a professional athlete where people are booing you and saying, you suck, boo, boo, boo. And that's just part of sports. Listen, I wish it necessarily wasn't. I wish we did like come together, and you guys are probably going to make fun of me when I say this is all like kumbaya here, but like I really wish like we could compete with each other and cheer on our team, and it be less negative, right? It just be more about cheering on your own team and less about booing the other team. I really do. But I also recognize that's not the world we live in, and so booing is just like part of it. But let's not act like booing and saying, you suck, boo, go home, and, and all that type of stuff is just the most egregious thing ever. Or that means that, that Kevin Durant needs to feel bad and say, man, we're just a bunch of animals and circus acts to these people. Because the fans are the animals. The fans are the circus acts. You are the king of kings. You are the king of kings. You are literally some of the most wealthiest people in the history of the world. You make more money than some countries out there, okay? Like, are you kidding me? Who has more power, LeBron James or, a small Caribbean island? I mean, seriously. I mean, it's like they're armies. So this idea that they're just like a bunch of these glorified, like Julius Caesar type gladiators, like it's just not true. You guys aren't prisoners. You are legends. You are gods. You are worshipped. So you're right. You're not real people. You're gods. Okay? And I'm sorry if that comes with some negativity or if there's some drawbacks. But again, I don't know who needs to hear this, but you can't get everything you want. You can't have the most perfect job with zero drawbacks. You can't have all the money in the world but have no drawbacks. You can't have all the physical talent in the world but have no drawbacks. You can't just get every single thing you want in your life. Because if we really want to keep score as to who can complain about their life and who has it harder, I will take a random fan over a professional athlete any day of the week. You don't think that those people who are booing, they don't have stuff to complain about their work? Do you think they don't say, man, this isn't fair, man? Like, I'm only getting paid like 30 grand. I'm doing all this construction work and my boss has me working 55 hours, 60 hours a week and I'm getting paid like nothing. And then, man, when I go to the hospital, I got like $10,000 in hospital bills and my car broke down and that's costing me another 2 grand and my credit card bill and I can't get a loan. Like, they have way more stuff to complain about than Kevin Durant ever does. So if you really want to go toe to toe with who has more to complain about, it will always be the fans, outside of obviously a couple of the super wealthy fans who also get to live amazing lives. So this idea that we're supposed to feel bad for these players or that we should have sympathy for them, I reject that so much, because also Kevin Durant can leave. Seriously, he can retire. He's already made so much money. If he doesn't like the job, just like anyone can, a lot of people have the luxury of being able to quit a job. The only difference is that he actually has the luxury of quitting his job. A lot of people who don't like their job are kind of trapped because there's no other jobs for them to get necessarily, depending on where they live, depending on what their education background is, just their skill set. It's not always that easy for someone just to quit a job and just get another job that pays them the same or more money. But Kevin Durant's already made all the money in the world. Kevin Durant could quit and have a million opportunities. The dude could just go to TV instantly, podcast instantly. He already runs and owns other companies instantly. He could run his own Shark Tank, which is what I think the boardroom is or whatever. I'm not really sure. But he could do anything. He can literally do whatever the heck he wants. He could start a company to try to go up against Amazon. I mean, it would be stupid, but he could do it, right? He has the means and the ability to do it. So this whole idea that he's a victim, that any of these athletes are victims, is just asinine. It's just so wrong, and it's a big pet peeve of mine, because these athletes want us to keep feeling bad for them, and they always want to be like, man, you don't know how hard it is, or they don't treat us like real people, or, you know, like, man, you know, we don't care about your fantasy sports and this and that. And it's like, dude, the reason why you get to live the most magical life you could ever dream of, not to mention, a lot of times this is your own words talking about growing up and being poor and growing up in poverty. You were able to escape that poverty because of two things. One, because you're really good at a kid's game where you get to just dribble a ball and shoot it in a hoop. And because of the fans. Because if it wasn't for the fans, then you wouldn't get paid all that money just to dribble a ball and shoot it in a hoop. Okay? That fan, the one who's screaming B to you, is why you are filthy rich. That's the reality. And if you don't like that part, well, then you can't be part of the game then. Then don't partake in it. It's really that simple. That's the way I see it. I would absolutely love to hear your thoughts on this one. This is a little bit different. This is definitely a little bit more cultural, not political in the traditional sense, but, you know, just a little bit different than just, you know, who do you think's going to win this game? So I really want to try to engage in more types of these conversations because I'm really passionate about it, and I think a lot of you guys are as well. So please let me know in the comments below if you think what I'm saying is the most ridiculous thing you've ever heard or the most amazing thing. Either way, let's get into some discussions, let's get into some fights, but ultimately, let's just have some fun. And as I always say, I read every single comment. So every single comment, and I will read it. And please don't forget to subscribe. As I said, we are building an amazing community here, and I would absolutely love to see you part of it. I want to build something that we all genuinely feel connected to, something that we're really excited to be part of, and I think we're well on our way to doing it. And please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, as it really, really does help with the visibility and the algorithm, and I would be greatly, greatly appreciative. Thank you so much, and see you next time.